Hi. There's something I've heard said for the umpteenth time now on YouTube. And it's, well, that must be part of their humiliation ritual. And where I keep hearing it from is when people talk about movies or TV shows or celebrities. I don't watch movies or TV shows, and I'm not current on who the latest celebrities are unless they do something that gets them in the news. I know that Sydney Sweeney has good genes, and I know that The Rock is cooked, but I keep hearing this in the movie review podcasts, and K-pop Demon Hunters is a big hit. So I don't really know what's going on. Nobody cares about Superman or Spider-Man or any of that shit anymore. Great. I don't like it. And that being said, years ago, I had a movie buddy, and they loved the superhero stuff. So every time a new one of those Marvel Universe, DC Universe movies came out, I was always good to go with him to see it because it had become a tradition multiple times throughout the year. And he'd say, oh, this one's coming out. And I'm like, okay, let's go see it. And I don't like Batman. And I like the Joker even less. And those guys are stupid. And I would explain to him, like, do you realize that the S on Superman's chest is a serpent? And then if you go, look up pictures of Superman when he had a broken boxer's nose, that it's literally an S. It's like a snake with the forked tongue coming out of its mouth. And Superman's a sun god, blah, blah, blah. And Grant Morrison is a occultist, and you can go watch a documentary for him on YouTube, which is, he's in it, and he tells you, I like Aleister Crowley, and you should like Aleister Crowley, and maybe you should try magic, and he does he's an asshole. And we know about Neil Gaiman now. He tried to get someone to eat poop off the tip of his penis. It was the babysitter. And so anyway, I keep hearing this humiliation ritual thing, and they're like, oh, that must be part of the humiliation ritual thing. I heard it multiple times about John Cena. I've heard it multiple times about Doja Cat, and I've never heard one of her songs, and I've heard about her, and I'm like, I don't ever want to hear one of her songs. And Ice Spice, like, why does she have that wig? Why does she wear the red hair? And they're like, that's part of her humiliation ritual. And now people say it as a colloquialism. They joke about it. They're like, that's part of their humiliation ritual. So we know about college and hazings at college, and there's humiliation rituals for the hazings at college. And you want to see crazy hazing rituals for college, go look up black hazing rituals. Those guys have some weird shit that they do. And it's, white people do weird shit too. And I guess it's all like masonry or something, or it's just occultism. But in Hollywood, I mean, what do we know about Jimmy Kimmel? He's supposed to be a comedian, but every intro to his show lets you know that he's a bad dude because it says, live from the Masonic Theater, it's Jimmy Kimmel's show. The Masonic Theater. And I think it has the same rooftop as the Creative Artists Associate building does, which is a giant eye inside of a pyramid or something. Go look up top of Creative Artists Associate building, and maybe put a slide in. Go look up the top of the Masonic Theater. I mean, that's where his show comes from, and you're like, yeah, Jimmy Kimmel's a bad guy. Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel's the guy that's been telling you for as long as he's been on the air to make your children cry on Samhain and then send us the videos. And then there's like definitely over a decade of clips of every year Jimmy Kimmel has multiple videos of you're supposed to laugh at parents making their children cry. And look at his face. Does he look like somebody who has a sense of humor? Does he look like a sourpuss to you? Jimmy Kimmel, all those guys, they're done. Nobody really watches them anyway. It's the end of legacy media. Because everybody just watches YouTubes. And on the YouTubes that everybody watches, like I said up front, everybody just uses the word humiliation ritual, and it's said casually. Like I hear it all the time. And that's just from movie nerds. So they know, like it's just they know that we do these things every year. They have the is it called the Illuminati ball? I think they just call it the Illuminati ball. What is it called? I can't remember. And then all the celebrities show up and there's a theme, costumes, and people do YouTube videos. I think Charles Carroll and his wife do that like every year. They're like, let's look at the costumes, and then he does his stream of consciousness talking about all the occult organizations and everything. And so it's just kind of out there and it's known. And I don't think I ever talked about this before, but I even know from my friends. I have a couple of friends, you know, being creative artist type of guy, that told me their stories of going to Hollywood to be famous, going to California to try and get famous. And one of them, he's old queer. He wouldn't be offended that I called him that. And he said that he went out there like this, like in the 70s. He went out there. He used to boast that him and his brother were the first two gays in San Francisco to walk around publicly, brazenly in hot pants. Would that have been in Castro, or is that New York? I'm not up on all the gay stuff. But you know, he was in a couple things. And I said, well, it seems like you were really going. Why did you stop? You could have been famous or something. Why didn't you keep being in movies and stuff? And he said that he's a gay man, but the stuff that he would have had to do was so disgusting, and that Hollywood was run by gay guys. And I'm like, wait a minute, like you're talking about, because when he was there, it was the 1970s. And he's like, yeah. He's like, Hollywood's run by the gays. And he was a gay man, and the stuff that they wanted him to do to further his career was so disgusting that he was like, I'm out. And he's told me some disgusting things about himself. And the other example is more recent. People I know, they both went as a couple, and they went out, they had some couple bucks, and they went out to Hollywood to find their fortune and fame, and they came back pretty quick. And the reasons for that was, one, because famous designer, they went to a party, and it was like Terry Crews type of story, where there was a famous designer guy, and he eyed up my friend like a piece of meat right in front of his woman, and it was like brazenly, it didn't stop, and he just wouldn't let it go. And then they were like invited to things, but it was like, boy, this creepy stuff we have to do just to get inside the building. So they opted out of like going to parties, because you have to like do weird shit just to get into the party. And then like blood stuff. And then the both of them almost got human trafficked on a photo shoot where they went into a building, and it was like a really creepy building, and they're like, wow, like it's like, it seems like you're going one way and all the doors locked behind you. And then they tried to split there was a couple, they went there together, they tried to split them up, and then they almost got long story short, they almost got human trafficked, and they're like, well, we're not doing that anymore. And what they found out, and what I was told from them was that pretty much if you want to be famous, you have to sell your soul to the devil. And if I ever interview people on this show, those are two people I'd like to get to tell their stories, but I don't know if I could get them. And I would like to give more specific details and name names of famous people, but why bother? Because those famous people, you already know that they're satanic queers. Just have to say it like that. And so I just kind of put this in the back of my mind. That's you if you watch this channel, you've been watching me for several years, because I've been doing this extreme narcissism stuff for, I don't know, maybe 9-10 years or something. Or that's probably more like 11-12 years. And I had a couple different channels. I had Man Without a Pop Culture, I had Extreme Narcissism TV. What's the other one I had? I had some other channel, I can't remember right now. And I just kept doing the same kind of content. And then it occurred to me, no, you know people that said weird stuff. I also, know other, as well as myself, I have myself as well as others I know have worked for companies named after the devil. Lucy this, Lucy that. So I worked for one of those places. And I heard weird stuff myself, but I heard even weirder stuff from people who worked in the lower levels of those places, and places like that have lower levels. And anything that's Lucifer, or any kind of version of Lucifer, has LUC, anything like that is of the devil. Like, there's no way around it. Especially if they're big companies or they do tech or anything like that. And yeah, I mean, there's so much other stuff I could say. Like people who showed me thing about Black's Law, which is like a dictionary for lawyers, and they have like these Jubilee editions, so that when you go to court, words mean different things to the lawyers and between the lawyers and the judges, and a lot of the people that are the clients, unless they have money, don't know what's really happening in court. And it's a performance, like it's an open thing that going to court is like a weird sort of stage, the way that it's all set up. And it will really change your perspective on all these like law shows, because people like to watch these courtroom drama shows, and there's so many of them. And I've heard all kinds of weird stuff. And it just didn't occur to me that I know people that went, and they openly told me, and I don't think I ever put it in a video before, where people that are near and dear to me outright told me they went to Hollywood to try and be famous, and they had to do gay shit and devil's deals. And everybody knows that now. And now people say, yeah, it's a humiliation ritual. So it's initiation into Hollywood, and that's how you get famous. Even though there are probably people who never went nor were invited to an Eyes Wide Shut party, and they were in movies and TV shows. And some of those people probably never saw weird stuff, and yet some of them did. I think it's, again, like probably people who are famous eyeing up other people like a piece of meat and saying, this is a person we can go after in a certain way. Like not everybody gets the invitation to, like it's probably whispers of demons. Yeah, get them. That's somebody we would love to destroy. That's a good person. We have to wreck them. So invite them to the herpes party. And then I'm trying to think, like there's probably more stories like that. Well, I mean, I've also heard stories about like going to conventions and stuff where it's like they used to do, I don't know if they do it anymore, but they used to do horror conventions. I remember going to those in the 80s. There's horror conventions, there's comic book conventions, everybody knows about those, and famous people will show up at them, and sometimes weird stuff happens there. And I mean, well, a furry convention, I don't know if it's like any kind of Illuminati club. That's just like regular people being horribly abused people probably being. Do you ever hear about the furry conventions? Do you ever see the old Medicare internet aristocrat videos where he would show you like, here's a hotel that won't host furry conventions anymore because there's like, garbage bags full of diapers, shitty diapers that were left all over the hotel. It smells awful now. And people say, I can't be myself unless they put on the fursuit, and then they put on the fursuit, and then they become somebody else, and that person does disgusting things, poking their peener through a hole or lifting up a flap on the back of their fursuit, and then disgusting things happen, and it looks like a cute animal mascot. And you would never want to pose and take pictures standing next to somebody in a fursuit, because the probably smells awful just on the hands of the puppet suit or whatever. So yeah, people party weird, and they're not even, when I talk about, I don't know why I brought the furry stuff into it, but it's like it gets pretty depraved. I mean, those are basically like orgies and Eyes Wide Shut stuff, and they're not even part of it. They're just a part of their club where they like to bang, and it's like bestiality acceptability conventions or whatever, right? Like anybody that tells you they're a furry and that it has sexual connotations and they have pets, that's not good. Oh, guess what? I love My Pretty Ponies, and they got a little tiny miniature Shetland pony. Oh, great! That's great, because they're little, you can't ride them. And if you like My Pretty Ponies and you're an adult man and you get a miniature pony, you shouldn't be around kids. You know, because who's going to ride? What are you going to do? Sell pony rides to children? Probably not. You're probably putting a parboiled carrot up its ass. Up your own, and then oogling livestock. And, you know, it's just open. Like, part of people's humiliation rituals now are Dave Chappelle goes on Oprah, and he tells you he didn't want to wear the dress, and that's why he went away, and that's why he didn't take the Comedy Central deal. And then we find out that that whole story is a lie, which would be part of a Dave Chappelle humiliation ritual. And then he talks about how he won't wear the dress, and then he has to go to a Netflix opening for one of his specials, and he's wearing a dress. And there's pictures of him. I used it in my videos. Maybe it's a time to put it in this video here. Here's Dave Chappelle wearing a dress. And there's too many references to this, you know, initiation ritual stuff that I can't keep track of it anymore. One of the things I remember, I'm only remembering the most recent stuff because I've heard so much of this stuff over the years. The Doja Cat, Cat Williams talking about all this stuff. Do you remember Cat Williams? One, I don't think he's funny either. I don't think Joe Rogan and his friends are funny. I don't think Cat Williams is funny. I don't like any of the comedians that they tell us are funny. I like YouTubers. I mean, when comedy podcasts were new, you know, comedians would say all the disgusting things about their lives, and those guys became, you know, filtered into the top 100 of comedy podcasts. And then it just hit like a rock bottom when you had a podcast called Two Girls Did a Show about guys that they banged, and then they just talked about they would have guys that they had sex with on their show and make fun of them and that they were stupid. And I'm like, yeah, but you let those guys fuck you. And they became like a top comedy podcast with Joe Rogan for a while. And it was the girls, I'm not going to say it, but it was a shitty podcast. I'm like, yeah, there's just nowhere else to go. And everybody, you know, there's a time when everybody wanted to be a comedian. And I laugh all the time when I watch videos, but they're YouTuber videos, and they don't even call themselves comedians. I don't think I watch anybody's channel who calls themselves a comedy channel. I watch people shitting on those, you know, Netflix comedians. I guess I could call them that. You know, the Netflix comedians? Yeah. They suck, like all of them. YouTubers are the people that are funny. People, you know, like everybody's become somewhat of a wit because the immediacy of Twitter or Instagram or whatever platforms, I know, and TikToks. How could I forget TikTok? And then as soon as you have a thought, you can just type it into your phone. It's like so immediate, and it's like honing the muscles that would be for comedians. So now comedians are, you know, can get even better at what they do, but they suck. Like whoever they tell us to like sucks. And you know, and a lot of people shit on George Carlin now, but I remember one of his bits was, and Bill Hicks did the same, basically the same type of bit, where he talked about selling out. And I remember George Carlin, right before he died, said, I don't like whoever they tell me to like, I don't like them. I don't want to like them. And then I think that was the last special he did before he died. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd think George Carlin was funny, but he has clipped a lot still because a lot of the stuff he said was just true. And George Carlin was a guy, I saw him live twice, I think, if not 3 times. And he was a guy that was honest about it. He said he tried to believe in God and it didn't work for him. So he had a very nihilistic view of the world. But also, he saw a lot of truthful things. I think he married a former Playboy bunny at the Playboy Mansion or something like that. So he knows about how things work. And, you know, people will just say, oh, the George Carlin, he's the guy you should hate because he's like the proto-liberal that we have today. And I'm like, I don't really think so. I think that, I don't know, I guess this is what I'm talking about. that George Carlin and Bill Hicks, people don't like their material today, and they're like, oh, this is insufferable. I heard somebody say that Bill Hicks was insufferable, and I'm like, no, not really. He was just kind of telling you like the same thing that George Carlin said without saying it. Yeah, I know how it works, and I think it's disgusting, and I don't want to be a part of it. Yet one of Bill Hicks's things was ripping off Sam Kinison, pretending to be the devil. Remember that? And Bill Hicks had the whole thing where he'd be like, ha 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 ha, a wisp of cotton candy framing a paper cut, and he's talking about his underage girlfriend. And there's a lot of bad stuff about Bill Hicks, but you can't tell me that I don't think it's funny when he goes and he attacks the audience and they hate him. That's funny. It's also funny when Andrew Dice Clay did it in his what the hell was that? He did a comedy album where he's bombing. It's funny, even if you don't like his jokes. The Day the Laughter Died, because it's based on Jerry Lewis. So anyway, yeah, it's funny, and I don't like Andrew Dice Clay. I thought it was stupid, but that one's funny, you know. So you can't tell me. I like what I like, even if other people don't like it. And yeah, I mean, we've been being told the whole time. Like, there's a Marilyn Monroe movie, I forget which one it is, but she talks about how she has a couple drinks, can't remember who she is, and then she basically makes like a coffee table or something. I'm like, wow, that's in the movie? Yes, that's in the movie. It's in I forget which one it is. Maybe you know Marilyn Monroe movies. I don't care about her. Who do you like, Marilyn Monroe or Betty Page? They're both old dead women. You're not supposed to look at them like that, whatever. So, yeah, I mean, people, they tell you that they saw weird stuff, and now more than ever, and it's just become something we've kind of taken for granted, which is the original point of me bringing this up. I guess I always go around to comedy or whatever, because I just like it so much, and now it's not funny anymore, because anybody can just be funny. We've all become some manner of a wit, because when there's a camera turned on us, we want to say funny things, and it's also a way to say, I guess, truthful things. And yeah, it's like the cat's out of the bag, and it's been for years, and this kind of thing has just creeped over us. I mean, there's movies have talked about this stuff. I'm trying to think of the one with Andrew Garfield. Well, I saw it when I was really high, and I was like, that's not so good. But now when I think about what I saw in that movie, it's called something like Under the Silver Screen or something. It's an Andrew Garfield movie. I can't remember anymore. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much, what Hollywood's about. Cults. There's a lot of people who are famous that came from that flirty fishing cult, and they told you that. Rose McGowan came from a cult where the women were encouraged to bring other people into the occult by using sex in their bodies. And that's where Joaquin Phoenix, River Phoenix came from, and there's a bunch of other people that are famous that openly tell you that they grew up in those cults that we know are cults. Dave McGowan's old book, Scenes in the Canyon. Like a lot of people are weirdos and they're into like serial killer shit. And you would find out that Charles Manson was kind of like a popular guy, and he had his own cult, and then that's the guy that's Charles Manson now. And he was a musician, and he worked with other famous musicians, and his name is on, like, I don't know who he worked with anymore, because I'm not really into the Manson thing. And everybody knows about the butterflies and the monarch butterflies in the videos of the girl pop stars, and they'll show you them glitching on stage. And Lady Gaga, Gaga is supposed to be like an avant-garde term, but it's just, there's nothing avant-garde about Lady Gaga. She's about as avant-garde as her mentor, Marino Abramovic, whatever, because they just do satanic pentagram shit with blood. And Lady Gaga is like, oh, here's a spicy Lady Gaga story. She left the hotel room and there was a bathtub full of blood. What kind of blood? So it's just kind of out in the open. Then there's something I didn't see, but I've heard about, which is that, what's it called? American Horror Story. They did like a season of American Horror Story. It was Apocalypse. And I think that Lady Gaga and Macaulay Culkin were both in it. which says a lot. And it was just openly talking about, like, here's a dystopian future where it's just like open blood ritual sacrifice. And everybody knows about this stuff now, but like it still goes on. And like, how many times have I heard when they're talking? Because I don't see most of the movies. I mostly don't see anything. I see parts of movies at other people's houses. Somebody gave me a Roku remote in a box. It doesn't hook up to any of the like 8 TVs that I have, so I can't, see the same things you are seeing. I could go to Tubi if I wanted to watch Tubi movies. Last time I saw a movie on Tubi, it was Frankie Frico. And I was like, okay, we get it. Stephen Kozlowski is a Satanist, because every single movie, Stephen Kostansky, every movie Stephen Kostansky does, he somehow blasphemes God and tells you that heaven isn't real in every single movie. And in Frankie Frico, he gets powered up to save the day when he sees a cross and turns into a demon. And Psycho Goreman, which is weird, the girl breaks a cross over her knee. And every single one of these Astron 6 movies, Astron 6, that should be revealing there. Might as well just call it Astaroth Productions or something. Astaroth Productions 666. Everybody knows that hip hop's gay. The Leonard Cohen song, everybody knows Dice is Lows, everybody knows a good guy's lost. Black Joe's picking coal or whatever, picking cotton or whatever. And yeah, like, it's known that you have to make a devil's deal to get anywhere. The latest crop of openly satanic rappers tells you this.
I'm asking them, like, how y'all get all this money? They're like, we do demonic rituals. I'm laughing. No, you don't, bro. I'm like, how you get this money? Don't put me on. I'm trying to get like y'all. Like, nah, we do demonic rituals. I say, so what type of demonic rituals? He say, the Illuminati never talk to you. I'm laughing. I'm still laughing at him. Why y'all playing with me? How y'all getting this money? They're like, no, for real. Leonardo DiCaprio do all the initiation. I'm like, what? I'm like, who is that? What is you talking about, gang? He giving me a list of people who all did. I'm gonna keep it PG-13. He was basically saying, either you let them peg you or you do oral and you'll get whatever you want. Tell them what you want. If you want to be the next big actress, next big whoever, I can take you to somebody. And all you gotta let them do is do what they want to do to you just for a night. That's what he was telling me. I'm like, hell no.
Travis Scott sacrificed people at Astroland. One of the other guys said, well, everybody says they're worried about me. I think it was Lil Uzi Vert. He said, we're worried about you. You got to find Jesus. And then they hear my next song and they say, oh, that's the best song I ever heard. Or whatever he said. He said it in hip-hop way, in urban patois. And he's like, where do you think I get my beats from? And he's openly telling the people watching the interview that he gets it from the devil. And one of the things that Puff Daddy said, whatever he calls him, Diddy Daddy, the Diddler, Batman villain, the Diddler. Oh, they race swapped the Riddler and they called him the Diddler, and it's Puff Daddy. So anyway, he openly said he wasn't looking for people who were famous. He was looking for people that he could mold and shape that would do what he told them to. And I think there's a couple people who got famous that way. Did Nicki Minaj get famous because Diddy? And then when she wouldn't renegotiate her Devil's contract or whatever happened to her, they were like, well, we can replace you. And then they just put Cardi up there. And it was like, we got another Nicki Minaj. Fuck you, Nicki. Get out of here. Go. Renegotiate your contract with Satan. We don't want you to get back any pieces of your soul. And look what happened to Kanye West. He wanted to tell you about stuff that was going on, but he didn't want to give up everything that he had been given by dark forces. So now the guy's he went mad, which is sad. So I know I'm talking shit about a lot of people, but I think what happens is people think they can't that there's no way up. I sold my soul already, might as well just keep going. Gotta keep singing Barbara of Seville, and until in the street with a can. So Hal Roach comedies, what I just said there was a Little Rascals reference. Do you remember the Little Rascals? Probably not. Probably in the 1940s, there was these things called the Little Rascals, and it was all child abuse, short subjects they would play before movies, and the whole cast of everything would be all children, and they'd have children cast doing adult things. and it's like way inappropriate and way off. But in one of those Hal Roach comedy shorts, there's a character called Alfalfa, and Alfalfa wants to be famous. So he makes a deal, he makes the Faustian deal with the devil, and he's like, I don't know, 9 years old or something. And he's singing Barbara of Seville from Sweeney Todd. Sweeney Todd's about cannibalism. So in Hal Roach comedies, the song that Alfalfa has to sing his whole life until he dies as an old man, he just has to keep, like the Rolling Stones. I'm talking about Little Rascals to tell you the story of the Rolling Stones and Bob Dylan and all the old rock stars that are still alive, and Paul McCartney, whoever, fill in the blank. And that you have to keep singing your same song. So Alfalfa becomes famous singing Barbara of Seville, which is from Sweeney Todd, because Sweeney Todd is the Barbara of Seville. And his wife has a bakery, and they eat people. Remember Johnny Depp played Sweeney Todd? So they're cannibals. And that's the song that Alfalfa has to sing in a black and white Hal Roach comedy before they had color movies. And they're telling you right at the beginning of the days of Hollywood, in a short subject starring children, that if you want to be famous, you have to sell your soul to the devil, and you have to keep doing it for the whole rest of your life, because if you don't, it all gets taken away from you. So think about people who were famous and then they do those videos. Whatever happened to? Those are people who didn't run and renegotiate their deals. Or those are people who died, you know, I guess you could say before their time. Like there's one of the weird stories. Well, here's the story you hear regularly. Somebody's working on a documentary, somebody's working on a tell-all book, and then they die before anybody gets to see it. And then when the book comes out, none of the stuff they said they were going to talk about is in the book. Corey Feldman was doing a book about Corey Haim from the 1980s, the Lost Boys kid. He was talking about how he was going to do a book, and then actually Corey Feldman was talking about the same thing. Corey Haim was going to do a book, and when that came out, it would have exposed a lot of things, and then he died. My mind's drawn a blank. There's a lot of examples of this. Oh yeah, the guy from Soundgarden was working together with other musicians and famous people, and they were going to do a documentary about human trafficking, and then they all took their own lives. The guy from, what's that guy? Chester Benningfield or whatever. What's the band's name? Sorry, I can't remember. Shit. Another rock star guy looks like the son of John Podesta, and people said he was going to talk about that, and he died. And Robin Williams, that's kind of weird too. So, you know, maybe you know more about the celebrity gossip of the weird deaths. Brittany Murphy, do you remember her? Brittany Murphy and her husband were poisoned. And there was a couple of celebrities that were kind of poisoned in a weird way, but a popular way for them to go is they're going to talk about some shit, and then next thing you know, they're hanging off of a doorknob, because that's the way they do it. Like, do you really believe that Robert Carradine hung himself in a closet while masturbating? Maybe. The movie's called Kill Bill, and then after it came out, probably Bill got killed. And he had a whole career, and his dad was famous, John Carradine, as a famous actor. Did you ever see The Monster Club? Probably not. Vincent Price and John Carradine in The Monster Club. Vincent Price, it's a metaphor for being gay. Did you ever see The Monster Club? Probably not. It's free, you can just watch it for free on YouTube. It's funny, you might like The Monster Club. Vincent Price is elderly gay, and John Carradine's even older than him. And Vincent Price takes John Carradine to his first gay bar, and it's filled with like literal monsters wearing like Dawn Post Halloween masks and stuff like that. And then it's like a Tales from the Crypt movie where they tell short. It's an anthology movie.
But can we truly call this a monster club if we do not boast amongst our membership a single member of the human race?
Nonsense! What can he do?
What can he do? In the past 60 years, Humes have exterminated over 150 million of their own kind. No effort has been spared to reach this astronomical figure, and the methods that they have used must demand our unstinted admiration.
So anyway, this video is what it is, and I'm like really dating myself by using all these references to old things, but look, I don't know who the new hotness is. Everybody's just openly talking about their devil's sacrifice and stuff, and whatever happened to Justin Bieber, everybody grew up loving him, and he's like on meth or something. What's wrong with him? I've seen a couple things about that, but it's kind of in the background. I'm like, yeah, that's, first everybody hated him and couldn't stand him and say he was a prick, and now people feel sorry for him. That's a change around, you know what I mean? When it goes from everybody knows Justin Bieber and they hate him because he's a little prick, and now you're like, oh, that's terrible. And you're like, yeah, they did that to a kid. And they did that to all of them. So if you want to be famous, you gotta catch bricks. You gotta catch hip-hop guy bricks or something down the throat or up your ass. And that's heartbreaking. But now we just know that that's how you have to, like, if you want to be part of that establishment where the people who have the money to, pay, or you can decide, what tier you want to stay at of fame. But now you can just go online and do it. Everybody can just stay home. Not everybody, but you can stay home and get famous. For a while that worked. Now it's like, no, YouTube is deciding who is gonna move up. So that's like the new system. It used to be you could make videos, maybe you would go someplace. Now it's like, no, YouTube decides who's going anywhere. And Mr. Beast has been rotten from the first, right? The guy's name's Mr. Beast. His symbol is a lightning bolt, like a panther head with a lightning bolt or whatever. Isn't that like a symbol of Satan or whatever? And there's something weird about Mr. Beast and his cold, dead, glazed over thing. And basically, what's Mr. Beast doing now? He's setting up Hunger Games and Rollerball and Squid Games in real life. And they're like, yeah, did you see the Mr. Beast show? And you're like, yeah, it's like Hunger Games Squid Games or whatever. And you're like, yeah, no shit. And his name's Mr. Beast. And then there's the Ava Chris Tyson everything. So yes, Mr. Beast is like, is a soul still in the body underneath Mr. Beast, or is it just, dead eyes and those choppers? I don't know. I never really watched Mr. Beast videos, but I thought it was funny when people just kept using him in thumbnails. They used his head and they put horrible things like medical malpractice would be behind them, and then there's Mr. Beast's face in the front smiling, that cold, dead smile of a child. Do you ever see children smile in movies where they're like, and they're looking over this way because that's where their mom is, and their mom's like, dude, do the thing, and the kid's like, they're smiling. Yeah. I probably shouldn't smile. I smoke cigarettes. I probably have yellow teeth. So, yeah, that's, I totally neglected that within my own life. People talked about, and people that I worked for, I used to work in animation, and I remember being told, like my friend got me a job working for this animation studio, and he said, be careful with your own personal ideas, don't share them here at work, because the boss will take your ideas and call them his ideas, and he's just going to use them. So anything that's your personal work, if anybody at work knows about that and the boss hears about it, it's just going to show up in cartoons and you won't even get credit. And that's exactly what happened. I worked on stuff where I did a lot of, I was like, wow, I'm going to have like several credits in this cartoon. And instead he just threw me in with 15 other people and called it creative staff, and we didn't get credits. He got all the credit. It's him, and then he had little helpers. And it's like, no, I redesigned every single character. The whole theme of your thing is going through paintings of, paintings throughout history. Like, I came up with the whole themes of things that the guy did for HBO Family, and I didn't even get credited for it. And, well, I mean, I did. It's just my name with a bunch of other people. And it sucks. And he did. He stole my ideas all the time. I remember going to, like turning into a zombie in Best Buy, and my progeny's like, what, Dad, what? And I'm like, well, I designed that thing. And, which I guess this is how it works, but, like, I designed characters, and they became turned into merch, which is work for hire, so it wasn't, but the guy I worked for didn't tell me, hey, we're making merch out of your characters that you designed for my thing, where he took all the credit for it. But it was a weird thing to see merch in the store, in Best Buy, that came with the DVD pack. They made a little plush toy beanbag thing. And I designed that, and nobody told me that was ever going to be turned into a product. Not that I would have cared, but I was like, you didn't tell me? Like, well, how come nobody told me that they're making a toy out of the thing that I basically created? Like, whatever. And then also had, they animated it, and I designed it, and I did storyboards on the shit. And it was just a weird feeling the first time a thing like that ever happened. And, but that's how it works, though. Like, when a lot of people say, but they stole all my ideas, that happens all the time. Like, they buy scripts, they don't do anything with it, and then they just take somebody else's. They take, I like this one. Like, people will save scripts that, and then they'll, like, just take them apart and use pieces of other people's ideas. And I think sometimes it makes the people go crazy. Like, there's a guy who claims to have invented the Matrix movies. And then there's this liar that was, who invented the Matrix? A strong, independent black woman. No, she didn't. It was some other guy. And I think that guy went crazy, because I've seen a couple of his videos, and I'm like, this guy's nuts. But he probably did invent the Matrix movies ideas, and he probably stole them. And it happens all the time, and it's nothing new. That's going way back before there was movies and people read the comic books. And in the newspaper, the Sunday Strip was a big thing. And there's a lot of things that were in the Sunday newspaper comic strip section, and that's like one of the most read things, like in America in the old days, was the newspaper strips, because the Sunday newspapers was like the huge, like they were lush, beautiful things, the old newspaper strips, in full color and everything. And so everybody saw them and knew about it, and a lot of that stuff was stolen ideas, where the guy who created the thing died penniless, living in his shack, and some other asshole made the money, like Felix the Cat. Nobody even cares what that is anymore, but it used to be a big famous thing a long time ago, and the whole thing was stolen from another guy. The guy who invented Batman, everybody says it was Bob Kane, but it wasn't. It was some other guy whose name I don't even know, and Bob Kane stole the idea of Batman and the Joker from somebody else, and now that Bob Kane's dead, we know that. And same thing with Stan Lee. Stan Lee took a lot of other people's ideas. Jack Kirby, I guess, took a lot of other people's ideas and then just made them their own and put their name on it, and everybody's like, oh, Stan Lee. And if I was Stan Lee, I'd want to live as long as I can, because he's going to have to meet God. You're going to have to meet God as soon as you're gone. Alejandro Jodorowsky, spit on him, that dog, that subhuman. When I heard that he was still alive, I wasn't even shocked. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I wouldn't want to meet God either if I was Alejandro Jodorowsky. So, he's going to have a hot oil bath with Man Ray as soon as he snaps out of here. So, I wish they would have let Jodorowsky make his Dune. Maybe they would have laughed him off the screen, and he never would have been they never would have gave him money to make another movie ever again. So, people keep complaining about the movies too, that nothing's any good anymore. I agree, but when I don't even watch movies anymore, and when I think about the stuff I used to like, I can't watch movies the same. I know that there's a spell that's been cast before I get to the end credits and see the word cast. I wonder if there isn't some kind of alchemy in movies where one of the things they complain about now is that the computer-generated effects aren't as good as they used to be, because they're just not paying that small nation of animators who take up the credits at the end of the movie. There's so many names, so many different units of animators for different things. Like one guy's job is just to put fire in a scene, and they put everybody's name in the credits. And the guys are overworked and underpaid, and I'm like, yeah, doesn't that sound like a sacrifice to you? So it's like, in a weird way, it could be, you know, a level of occultism we don't normally think of in movies, where yes, your animators that do your special effects for you, your FX, are themselves like part of, you know, like they're ritually sacrificing their time and energy in life, and then it's just stolen from them and they don't get paid for it, and their name is part of one of so many names at the end of a movie that you just don't, unless you know the guy, you're not going to ever look for his name in the credits, and you don't care because it's so many people that work on making the magic spell, all these animators, and now the movies look like shit because they're just not paying them anymore. And also the movies aren't working anymore. The spells aren't working. The spell has been cast over people and nobody's going for it. Everybody that makes videos about movies tells you that they suck. And some people have even gone so far as to say, I remember years ago, Chris Stuckman, you know who that is? Chris Stuckman said, look, if I don't like the movie, I'm probably not going to talk about it. Because so many movies sucked, he just didn't want to have to keep doing reviews telling you that it wasn't any good. That's what Red Letter Media does. They find old movies and they tell you they're not any good. And, you know, I don't know. That's one of the easiest things. Kevin Smith said, he had it in the Jay and Silent Bob movie. Ben Affleck said, the internet is a place where people go to bitch about movies. And it is, because that's one of the things that everybody does. They watch, at least in the West, they watch movies, and when they all suck, you make movies complaining about it, and a lot of people make money complaining about movies, and more people are willing to pay tribute money to donate to some guy that has a movie-hating podcast, and they'll pay him $5 and they'll give donations just so they can shit on the movies that we all hate. Coming up with quips. They're paying to have quips on the show that everybody watches on Nerdronic or whatever. And the companies, the shows that used to always talk about the movies, like Screen Junkies or all that stuff, like a lot of those things don't exist in the form that they once were, because there's no height of this nerd culture and all the movies are cool and everybody loves everything and everybody hates everything, and it killed those channels. I mean, what does Screen Junkies do? Do they still do those? They break down a movie in 8 minutes and they tell you everything that's wrong with it or whatever. Now they have AI doing that probably. So yeah, everything's being offered up and sacrificed up, and Hollywood is being sacrificed up, and like I feel as though the whole place of Hollywood, California, the whole thing is being offered up as a ritual sacrifice, and they'll just make movies wherever they want from now on, so it would seem. And yeah, I don't know, I guess that's it. I'm sorry if there's, now that I'm done with this video, I'm sorry if there's been a worrying computer fan. I gotta figure out a new setup where I just move my old tower away so that you don't have to hear the background noise of my computer trying to cool itself because of my hot videos. So that is all. I just wanted to, you know, I guess this is just fits into the category of lo-fi chill jam stuff where I want to talk about, hey, do you recognize stuff that people say all the time? Like one of the other things that people say all the time, even in these movie review videos, is they talk about Hegelian Dialectics. That was something you only heard if you watched Jay Dyer, or when you watched podcasts on, listen to podcasts on globalization and stuff, and they would talk about Hegelian Dialectics. Now I hear them talking about Hegelian Dialectics when they talk about movies and shit. And I'm like, yeah, everybody knows. And they also, you know, they call it the message. And everybody talks about, it's like transparent, like everything's on the table now. We know what things are, and everybody still hates it And then Larry Fink said, well, BlackRock, we believe in forcing behaviors, so we're just going to keep forcing behaviors. And that's what I said right from the first, as soon as I saw The Last Jedi illegally on YouTube when it came out, and it was one of the first reviews of it. And it like really gave my channel a boost back then. Different version of this same channel. And so what was I going to say? Yeah, so it doesn't matter what you want. They're just going to keep giving you whatever they want to give you. It's programming for the younger generation. So they just want everybody to be programmed by saying, we're going to give you everything the same thing. So look at the sway that BlackRock has over every single movie studio to just keep giving you the same messages where they never get it right. Everything, they keep pretty much, unless it's a horror movie where everybody dies, they don't give you anything that you're expecting. And what they do give you, you don't want. And they're just going to keep plowing through. I said that before Larry Fink ever got on the stage and did that famous BlackRock clip where he said, we have to, at BlackRock, we believe in forcing behaviors.
You now make a point of, that's an investment criteria for you.
Well, behaviors are going to have to change, and this is one thing we're asking companies. You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock, we are forcing behaviors.
I mean, I wasn't the only one to say the same thing, but you know, like I saw the writing on the wall. I'm like, look at, they killed Han Solo's a deadbeat dad, Luke Skywalker's a coward. Men can't do anything, women have to do it all. I'm trying to think of what else was. Oh, they killed Wolverine. Wolverine was a deadbeat dad. He's like, I'm gonna sleep in. He's dying of adamantium poisoning. Instead of crossing the border to live the last of his days with a bunch of orphan kids that have special powers or whatever, he's like gonna sleep in that day. And then he decides to save them, and they're like, we're gonna kill Wolverine. He was like one of the first casualties of all this killing your male figures in movies. And then they just kept doing it, you know, through all your video games. And what do you like? Oh, we're gonna kill it. And everything's gonna be about women. It's gonna be about Luciferian version of Father, Son, Holy Spirit stuff. And we're just gonna give you the woman version of everything. And the character's gonna be named Elle or Lilith or some version of that kind of shit. And it's called female empowerment. And they have the Victory Spire haircut you see in every movie. They still keep doing it. Which is like some kind of occult sapphic thing or whatever. So they're just forcing behaviors. But you know, I was one of those people that said it before we even heard Larry Fink say it out of, you know, as a puppet voice for BlackRock, which is Blackstone, which is Vanguard. And what are they doing? They're buying up bitcoins, and they're buying up the country of America. They're buying up real estate, and they're evil, and they need to be taken apart. And Disney is a monopoly, and it needs to be taken apart. What's left to buy off that Disney doesn't have? Warner Brothers and Paramount, so they conglomerate. What happens when the people are just in a weakened state, and then Disney just has them too? And then, you know, you're not watching entertainment anymore. Instead of calling it entertainment, they just call it Disney. You know what I mean? Like, what are you watching? What do you mean, what am I watching? There's only one thing to watch. We watch the Disney. Anyway. And it's all programming, and it always was programming, and it's shit. But, you know, that's why I always said I liked YouTube videos. And, you know, remember for years people said, well, now we can make the things. Like, the movie studios suck, and now we'll make movies, and independent filmmakers will rise up and make stuff. And I'm like, no, they're not going to do that. And instead of hiring people to do that, now they're just going to use AI as much as possible, because that's the one of the two things that AI seems to do well is what do you want, and then it whips it up for you in terms of like faking reality, you know, the face swap stuff, which is super important. And you know, like you can prompt something and wait like 3 minutes, and then you have this amazing 10-second clip. Now, what if the training wheels are taken off of that, and they just allow you to have more? Then people can make their own movies and fantasies. So are people going to care what's made for the masses, or are they just going to make their own perversions at home and not tell anybody about the movies they made that you can put yourself in? You know, I feel like You know, you had to sell your soul to the devil to become famous. Now I feel like the idea of the celebrity is being sacrificed. And it's going to be more like we're all equal. And when we're all equal, then none of us matter. Nobody gets special treatment, and you all get the same shit. And one of the other things that's in the background for years has been the universal basic income stuff. Looks like Canada, or China-Canada, or whatever you want to call it, is closer to that than, you know, the U.S. That's still, you know, it's still North America. Canada's still North America. So that's not far away. So that's what they're doing. They just keep breaking things, keep breaking down society. When we went to regular public school, they talked about consumer society and a post-consumer society. And like, what's that mean? It's like, what's the consumer? You're the consumer. Post-consumer? Post me? Yes. And then they make movies about that shit, like, I don't know, like 12 Monkeys or whatever other movies they have. And everybody says, what's one of the other things? They talk about humiliation rituals. They talk about Hegelian Dialectics. And they talk about dystopia. It's one of the things people are sick of hearing is, oh, here's another video where they say, use dystopian. Yeah, no shit. When they make it one of the popular movies for kids is Hunger Games, and it just shows you how they broke up America into different Hunger Games districts. And then when it happens, people are like, yeah, that's funny, haha, like the movies. That's predictive programming. A lot of people use the word predictive programming nowadays too. And they don't even think they're doing conspiracy theory videos or whatever. It's not a theory anymore. They're just like, it's like putting frogs in a pot and then turning the heat up slowly, and then you don't realize you're boiling. That's what they're doing to us. And what's the recent thing as of me recording this video they're talking about? There's something in the sky. We don't know if it's an asteroid or a spaceship. So, I hope it's a dud. I pray for their plans to fail. Because if what they do is worship the devil, then you know that what we do, you and I, this is as parasocial as I get. We pray to God. We pray to God against their evil plans. And you're limited only by your own creativity. And we know that our creativity is being killed because of playing video games, looking at pornography, and being online and on our phone, which is the same, and doom scrolling all the time. So when you're praying, all that shit, you put that stuff away. This is your time apart with God. And then you pray to God and say, please, Lord, put cracks and tears in the plans of the wealthy elite whose fortunes shape the fates of nations and the people who work for them, destroy the social engineer class. And I pray that those who could be saved would be saved. But I pray that at every twist and turn, their evil plans and technologies that they use against us that were given to them by ritual human sacrifice utterly fail. Make the sacrifices fail, Lord, so that they stop doing the sacrifices. Turn them back. Send them away. I'll reference the Psalter. Open the pit, Lord. Send them down alive into hell, which is a thing that he did do in the Old Testament. He cracked the earth open and people went down into it. That means last chance. So we're supposed to be blessing those who curse us and hoping that they will come around to God so that they don't get sent to hell with the devil, because it's really the devil's only thing that he has to do is to try and get as many people to go to hell with him and those who are going to hell, being demons and all that shit. So that's really the big strategy, is to just get as many people sent to hell as possible. What do you want? Like Jesus in the desert 40 days, and the devil's tempting him the whole time. He's like, you want this, you want that, and he offers them kingdoms and everything. Well, now they're offering you all that shit that Jesus was offered in the desert for 40 days. They're offering it to you for 30 days, trial period, online service, and that's your being tempted. That's one way that we're tempted now. We're getting this same type of thing as Jesus, except it's virtually, which means not actually, and we're getting it from online. And, so we have to pray for their plans to be destroyed, and we pray for the dark forces tools to be turned back around and used against them. And that's us talking to each other online about what it is that they're doing. And not only, and just keeping note, which is the end of this video, not to just go say, yeah, that's how it is, But no, we know how it is, so now we are obligated to pray against it, because that is the one thing that we can do. When you're like, I'm just one person, what could I possibly do? Pray to God against their evil plans, because they don't want us to do. They want us to coexist bumper sticker, which is evil. It's, you just believe whatever you want. Just don't ask Jesus for help. Don't pray to God for help. And you can throw him in the mix with everybody else, but just so long as you don't think that he's the top guy. Just so long as you think that you could have other options. No, you don't. You have access to the most advanced technology we're ever going to have. We have a direct line to the creator and maker of all things. This is God. And he told us to use his name, is Jesus. So pray to Jesus and ask for help. He said, if you want to talk to God, you got to go through me. It's the Father, only begotten Son, and his Holy Spirit. And you pray, as it is in Isaiah 11:2, that his Spirit would rest upon you. Pray for wisdom, pray for understanding, pray for knowledge, pray for his might, for God's counsel, and pray that you would delight in the fear of him, which is part of the comfort. To delight in the fear of God, it's like the best kind of fear, because it's a fear of true power, and you know that you took all your requests, your supplications, your prayers to the right place. You took it to the top. We have access to this technology. It must be utilized on a daily basis, because I'm seeing a lot of their plans, and I'm no different than you, so we're seeing the same things. We're seeing a lot of the stuff that they're trying to do to us fail. So what happens when everybody's not taking the evil plans? They're not going along with it? Well, then they try and pull the rug out from underneath everybody and just we'll offer up a whole bunch of people all at once. Well, pray to God that their ritual sacrifices don't work. Say, God, pull the plug on whatever it is that they're getting from their blood sacrifices and cut the cord between the wealthy elite whose fortunes shape the fates of nations and the demons that whisper to them and say that they want blood and children and poop and pee and all that. That's the height of opulence, is to kill babies and drink their blood and get you to do it and inject that into your hearts and minds and souls and whatever. No, pray to God. Pray to God that their plans fail. You hear that they're planning some kind of fake alien invasion or whatever, then pray to God that it fails utterly and that the evildoers will be exposed, shamed, humiliated. Turn them back, send them away, Lord. Let the evildoers be exposed, save who you can save, make them stop, and don't let us have to suffer for it. We're supposed to be praying for this kind of thing. So I'm just going to keep doing that, and on my free YouTube open mic. And I thank you for hanging out with me. And I hope that this was worthwhile listening to. So bless you at the end and pray to God. Amen to that.
I thought that was a bit gay for starters. Well, hey, who am I to judge? I'm gonna come clean with everybody. I'm gay.
I'm gay.